Hi everyone, if you're getting into using off-camera flash, one thing that you're quickly going to want to get for yourself is a light stand. Now there's lots of different options and they quickly put you up through different price brackets. So I want to run through what the different options are and give you my advice on which things are must-have and which things are nice to have. Okay, so I travel with a lot of light stands. I own about 25 of this particular model because it's lightweight and it packs down small enough to fit into the luggage that I generally use. So portability is a big issue for me. So let me run you through the features of this specific model first, and then I'll take you through a couple of different models and show you the different options that are out there and what the trade-offs are. So the first thing for any light stand, and it's actually exactly the same as buying a tripod, is your compression ratio. If you want one that packs down really small and goes really high, it's going to mean that it has to have lots of sections in there. And that's going to add price, or it's going to add a lot of weight. If you want it to stay lightweight and be able to compress down small and go up really high, then it's going to be using better quality materials and it's going to cost you more. So this one that I use a lot, I'll pop a link in the caption below, I get these in Australia, doesn't have a fantastic compression ratio. It's only got the 3 sections rather than more, and it's not that small when it's fully packed down. To fit these in my luggage, I actually need to take the head off, and then without that on, the actual light stand will fit into my luggage. Now let me show you how tall this guy actually goes up. Keeping in mind that if you leave it standing at its highest point, which would be like that, you've got hardly any surface area on the ground, and that's really wobbly and likely to fall over. So I never measure them from that point. I measure them from their widest leg point. Even in the tiniest little amount of wind, these things can blow over. They will blow over. So you want to have as big a footprint as you can. Then putting the sections all up, you can see this does go quite high, a lot higher than me. So that's probably at least, I don't know, close to 7 foot or something like that. Taking a look at the specifics of this one, the joints on it are all plastic, so that keeps down weight but doesn't really add much in the way of strength. Likewise, the joints on all of the central parts down on the bottom are plastic, and again, that saves weight, but it doesn't give you anything in the way of build quality. So for me, for portability, this is a good option. But if you're wanting something really durable and you're not going to be traveling a lot, then this may not be the best option for you. This one on the top section also has the small thread and then the head. So that means that you can actually mount a camera or anything that takes that normal size thread. That's the same 3/4 size thread as on your tripod socket on the bottom of your camera. So you can mount a lot of different things on there, including just like the little flash foot that often comes with flashes straight onto this rather than needing to buy a separate head. Let me show you a more heavy duty one. Okay, beautiful, and it's just started to rain. Now, I'm not going to mention specific brands and all of this. The ones that I specifically know, I'll pop a link in the caption, but I have the feeling that a lot of these are made by exactly the same company and branded different things in different countries, so just check the specs. This big boy is a much fatter tubular metal, so it's a lot stronger in that regard. The legs are longer, the compression ratio, it doesn't pack down that small at all. Comparing it to the first one I showed you, it's maybe 4 inches longer than the one I used from Melbourne, but this one has an extra section in it. And once you put the legs out wide, let's just show you beside me, so that's completely down. Let me put the top section up first because I won't be able to reach it otherwise. There's one section, and the top one that just keeps going and going and going forever. You can't even see that anymore. It's huge. That's probably 8 or 9 foot tall. And it is really quite rigid. It's got a bit of flex in there, but if I was shooting on the beach, or if I'm going to be using one of my heads that takes 4 different flashes, then I want it to be able to support the extra weight. This is the guy that I would take along. It's probably 2.5, 3 times heavier than the other one, meaning that this one's probably around 2.5 to 3 kilos because the little one's about 1 kilo. But it's a good heavy duty one for me without going into the high cost brand name ones. Next up is this one I picked up in Hong Kong. The brand they have on it is Meking. I don't know if they still even make that brand. Comparing it to the one I generally use, you can see it compresses down a lot further. Now we take the head off again. Heads is probably another good topic to talk about for a buying guide. There's hundreds of different kinds out there, dozens at least. You can see this one compresses down a lot further, but because it has a lot of sections, it actually goes up really high. So let's pop this one up. One thing you'll notice on this one, the legs are not tubular. They're just a long metal bar. It is, you know, kind of a figure 8 shape, so that should give it a little bit of rigidity, but it's not fantastically rigid. One good thing about this one though is that the joint sections around here are all metal, so that's a plus in my mind. So popping this one up, you can see each section is quite short, but once it's at its full height, it goes up to a comparable kind of height to the one that I first introduced. So something to keep in mind for these is when you're looking at buying one online, how far does it compress down and what are you going to be carrying it in? Does it come with a carry bag? Because sometimes you won't need it, but sometimes that can be really handy if you're carrying a bunch of different stuff. Trying to stick 3 or 4 of these under your arm can be a pain. If they have shoulder straps, you at least then can throw them over your shoulder. You want to think about the overall compression ratio. How high do you need it to go and how small does it need to go? 1 for portability and 2 for just practicality. What will you actually be carrying it in? What is the build quality like? How many sections are there? What is the build material? How much plastic is in it? Are the legs tubular or not? If it has a weight rating, that's a really handy thing to know as well. And then what's your budget? And who are you buying it from? And they go hand in hand, because if you just want a quick and dirty, going out to shoot, don't care if it breaks type thing, then yeah, get a cheap one, get a couple of spares, that's fine. If you really want it to have great after sales service, then you want to make sure you're going to a shop where you have a relationship. And if it's a toss-up. Sometimes there's bad experiences in every walk of life, but generally if you go for a brand name one where there's a company obviously standing behind the product, you're more likely to get service if things go wrong than you will if you just get a no-name one that every shop is selling a different version of. Who do you even go to in that sort of case, especially if you've bought it online? So I hope that one helped you. They really do vary a lot from 5 foot to 10 foot in terms of the height that they'll go up to. As you can see, this is 3 different ones that I own, but I probably have at least 6 different kinds in total. So if you have any other questions, leave me them below. If you have suggestions on other buying guides you'd like to see made or things that you'd like to see added to any of the ones I've already made, please fire away. Thanks, check out the website and sign up for our mailing list, and I'll see you soon.